What does it take to leap from the edge, thousands of feet in the air, and land among the best in the world? How can the mindset of a record-breaking skydiver transform your approach to business, success, and life itself? I'm Dr. Frank Douglas, the host of the Antifragility Reframe podcast. Our guest today is Mr. Bryan Gile. He's an executive coach. He's an author. He's an 8-time world record skydiver. And he brings to business and his business coaching some of the things he has learned from his top-tier athleticism. Mr. Gile, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So, could you share with us some of your journey? I'm particularly interested in the 3-point system that you have developed. So, if you can give us a little flavor of your journey and uh, how it led you to create the 3-point system.
Yeah. So I'm a professional skydiver, first and foremost. I started skydiving in 1999 and really just I was born into that sport. My father's a skydiver, so I grew up in the 80s and 90s watching him jump out of small airplanes in Oregon in the Pacific Northwest. And I always knew that I would become a skydiver when I was a young kid. That was just a given. You can't take a kid to a fair and show them a ride that they're not tall enough to ride for 16 years without them wanting to go on the freaking ride already, right? Yeah. So basically, my childhood was just a giant countdown to my 16th birthday, which at that point in time was when you could go skydiving. It was the earliest age you could. Now it's 18 at most places. So that was, the first day of the rest of my life. I never looked back. I was jumping every single weekend. I started working at skydiving facilities, initially packing parachutes, and then became a tandem skydiving instructor. And I really fell into the sports side of skydiving early on. So when we jump out of airplanes, yes, we are quote unquote falling through the air, but we're doing it so fast that it gives us a lot of maneuverability to be able to fly with other humans in a 360-degree environment. So I trained and I always, I watched a lot of videos of the professionals who were there before me, and I always knew that I could learn anything that anyone else was doing in the sport. If someone else was accomplishing something in skydiving, there was absolutely no reason why I couldn't eventually get there myself. And that mindset led me to become a world record holding skydiver with my first large formation record. So, just imagine a bunch of people jumping out of probably this would be like 7 different aircraft at that point in time, all flying together 19,000 feet and just, holding hands like big formation in the sky. That led to my first world record in 2012, I think it was. And when I got home from that, I sat and thought to myself, like, wow, how can I actually be at the top 1% of a sport in the world? Like, just statistically, when I look at it, there's not that many world record skydivers out there. How can I be at the top echelon of my beloved sport and yet be pretty much failing as an entrepreneur? I've had to learn and grow to become the entrepreneur capable of producing results in an area of a big weakness of mine. And how skydiving ties into that is after my first world record in 2012, I sat home. I was in my apartment in San Diego, staring off into space, wondering like, why the heck am I suffering so much as an entrepreneur and doing so well in skydiving? And I realized it was because of a pure, utter knowingness, a pure belief, a pure conviction that I would succeed at my goals in skydiving. That was the big difference. Like jumping out of airplanes and running businesses are 2 very different goals, right? But certainly there had to be something that I was doing in one area that I was not doing in the other area. And I realized that it was my mindset of how I approached my goals. I showed up to work every day on developing websites and launching traffic funnels. I was sitting in front of my computer doing the work. but internally there was a subconscious fear that it wouldn't work out. There was a subconscious fear of failure. Man, maybe I'm not a natural at this. Maybe, am I not smart enough to do this? I don't know if this is going to work. And what would happen, like any persistent entrepreneur, is I never quit. I would just quit one goal and then go on to the next one. And I see this as a cycle that a lot of people do, um, especially entrepreneurs. We have an idea for a business and we get all excited about it. So jazzed, like, oh my God, this is the new thing I'm going to do. It's going to change my whole life. And then we get to a place where we're just running into obstacles that we don't know how to solve. And when that happens, many people get frustrated and they don't give up on their dream, but rather than overcome the obstacle, they just start a brand new goal for a new idea and they start all the way over at zero again. Then they get really excited and repeat the same loop.
I want to observe something that is really so important that you've said. It's extremely important of what entrepreneurs and others in real life actually do. When faced with an obstacle, they don't necessarily give up their goal, but they shy away from that obstacle and find another bright, shiny goal that they could go after that they think will get them to that goal that they have, that overall goal. And I think
You,
that's really a very important thing for our audience to hear.
you hit it right on the head right there with those two words, bright and shiny.
Mhm.
Okay. When 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 we have an idea for a new goal, it's so exciting because we haven't done any of the work yet that sucks. We're excited by this idea, right? And you said it perfectly. Whenever we start a new goal, any progress that we make from zero feels like momentous. It's the most amount of progress ever. We are rocking this goal. And then the farther along we get on our journey, the smaller and the smaller and the smaller the gains become. And that's where we feel way less excited about our goals, more stressed. We're not making big progress. And then we don't give up on the dream, but we just go after the next big shiny goal and repeat the process.
Mhm. And
Mhm.
when we talk about overcoming challenges and being anti-fragile, finding solutions that make you stronger, one of the things we talk about is shifting perspective, shifting mindset. And you've mentioned the term mindset a couple of times. So tell us about your 3 points.
I realized that I needed a system to create that mindset in business because I didn't have it. And I won't tell anyone to just, you know, be stronger, have more willpower, be more resilient. We need tools in order to grow that. And that's what my three-step system is: positive, immediate action. What it does is it creates a very high level of belief in yourself without focusing on raising your belief. It focuses on small actions and reactions, which over time show you progress and increase your level of belief to what we just talked about earlier, where you fully believe in your conviction to succeed. So, how this works is step one, we're going to scan our thoughts all day, every day, and just rank them as positive or negative, either helpful or unhelpful. When we're talking about improving our mindset, the first thing we want to understand is what's going on in our mind. Is it helpful or is it disruptive? Is it pushing us towards our goals or is it blocking us or even, destroying our chance to get there? So what we want to do is on a second by second basis, not 15 minutes in the morning, not 15 minutes in the evening, because your life is being created all day, every single second of the day. Just become aware of the nature of your thoughts. Am I having a positive thought? Am I having a negative thought? When you recognize that you are experiencing a negative thought, step two, we're not going to try to stop having negative thoughts. We're going to understand that we have freedom to react independently of them. I can have a thought that says, I'm not smart enough to achieve this goal. Or I can have a thought that says, I don't really feel like working on this right now. And then I can choose to react independently of that thought. And that's very powerful here. So once we've recognized an unhelpful thought, we're going to transform our reaction to it by saying a mantra. My mantra is 3 to 5 positive words: happy, healthy, wealthy, humble, loved. I have another one: I can do it. And all those statements is a reminder that I can be positive even in the face of a negative voice that would have crippled me in the past, would have slowed me down in the past. I can persevere, I can focus, I can learn. Okay, I can get this done. Someone else has done this before. I can do it now. So with that thought transformed, with the energy transformed from negative to positive, that will increase your belief in your ability to succeed, which is everything, for a very short amount of time. And you need to take action within that window. So step 3 is immediate action towards your goals in a small way that over time will stack up and add up to the total outcome you're looking for. In quick summary, we perform a background scan of our thoughts. We flag negative ones. We transform them with a positive mantra, just a couple short words. And then we take fast action towards our goals. And we repeat that cycle over and over and over again until we create a new personality that is realistically optimistic. Whatever your goal is, the final outcome can often be scary. And if that does intimidate you, just focus on the day-by-day actions that will build you up into essentially like a black belt level, if we were to think of martial arts, right? There's a saying in martial arts that a black belt is just the white belt who never quit. So if anyone would like to get in touch, they can check out my book. It's called Be Great, Be Happy. It's on Amazon. You can just go in there, search the title. I think there will probably be a link provided for it as well. You can also find me at begreatbehappy.com or on TikTok and Instagram for Bryan Gile.